I've been in law enforcement for 30 years, and I transitioned into real estate for the last 7 years on a part-time basis, and I'm just ready to make a definite change. I'm just struggling when is the right time.
What would you say defines the right time to make the shift?
I feel like the W-2 job is, while I enjoy it and whatnot, I think it's holding me back from really growing at a faster pace, the business side of things.
Do you understand that you actually could afford it if you wanted to?
For me, it's not so much about the numbers. I think it's just maybe the identity that I've had all these years. I think that's my biggest inner struggle.
Today, I've got an amazing human being from me, a little bit down the road in San Antonio, Texas, Ruben Galindo. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Jason. I'm doing great.
Awesome. We have acquaintances from a friend of ours, Mr. Diego Corzo. If you haven't followed him, he is an amazing human being, does lots of cool stuff, based out of Austin with me. And I put some feelers out to my audience about who needs some assistance transitioning out of their W-2 job. Ruben raised his hand, and here we are today. So before we start coaching Ruben, do me a favor, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how old are you? You're single, you married, kids, no kids? Like, what do you do?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for having me, Jason. So, yes, sir, I'm out of San Antonio, Texas. I am married. I do have children. Most of my kids are already adults. I do have one under 18. I've been in law enforcement for the last 30 years. So I've been working for the state police, like I said, for 25, and I worked for the county 5 years before that. So that's all I've done my entire career. I would say about 6-7 years ago, I started my real estate investing journey and bought my first rental property. And from that point forward, real estate was really interesting to me. So I decided to go ahead and get my real estate license. So I've been doing that as well. So I got a good thing going on, right? And I am pretty much at the tail end of my career. I'm just kind of going through that struggle. When is the right time to make that change, that overall change?
That's a great question. Like, when do you want it to be?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the question that I need to answer.
Okay.
When is what do I need to keep in mind? What do I need to consider to make that that definite move?
Okay. Well, what would you say defines the right time to make the shift? What are the metrics?
Maybe I think it's, for me, I'm struggling with the fact that all I've ever done on a full-time basis has been, in law enforcement, in the law enforcement profession, and transitioning to something different is obviously a huge change because the majority of my adult life, that's what I've done. So, I guess it's an identity thing. That's something Brandon Turner told me. You need to start identifying yourself not as a law enforcement officer. You need to start identifying yourself as a real estate investor. And once that becomes natural, then maybe at that point,
Well, that's great advice from Brandon. And well, you actually are a real estate investor, right?
Yes, I am.
How many properties do you own?
I am currently under contract on property number 12.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just as I'm actually not currently a real estate investor and I'm not in law enforcement, but it sounds like real estate's probably easier than law enforcement, isn't it?
Yeah. I would think so. I would like to say so. Yes. The thing in law enforcement, obviously you're dealing with the general public. You're dealing with everything that's happening in society. And that's something that you don't necessarily have a control over. Real estate, you do have more control of, right? You get to dictate, the properties that you buy at what price point, so you do have control in that aspect. The thing that's outside your control is obviously the market, but I think historically and overall, the real estate market has always been healthy and actually very good.
And houses don't shoot at you, right?
Yes, houses do not shoot at you or talk back.
which is really, I find it amusing because from the outside perspective, I'm like, being a law enforcement officer, I have a lot of respect for law enforcement officers. My brother-in-law used to be one, and I know it's a challenging job. But it's interesting, the transition. So, but let's look at the income for a second, right?
Sure.
Does your wife work or she stay at home?
She does. She will do some work here and there, but she's not a W-2 employee. She helps me a
Okay.
lot with the real estate business.
Okay. So what is your what are your monthly expenses?
Okay, so the house payment is about $1,800. My car payments, one of them I just pay a straight 900. The other one I pay a straight 700. So what's that? 16 plus the 18, about 35.
Okay. Okay. Then you probably have car insurance and then
Yeah,
groceries and utilities.
yeah. Car insurance, utilities, groceries. I mean, tack on maybe, I don't know, 1,500.
So we're Amazon. So what are you around 5 a month? You're around 7 a month? Like where
Yeah,
do you think your spend is?
I think a comfortable number is, I think 5.5 to 6.
Let's just go high for our estimate. So 6.
Okay.
Okay. What's your monthly income from real estate?
From the real estate side, so I think my cash flow averages, because I got a couple midterm rentals. So if those things are occupied, it'll average between 5 to 7,000 a
Okay.
month.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic because that sounds like you're free,
Thanks.
doesn't it? Like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
horizontal income, meaning your passive income is basically 5 to 7K. That average is 6K.
yeah,
That's monthly expense. Okay.
yeah.
And how much do you have in savings?
Over 100,000. Now,
Okay.
some of that obviously is income from the cash flow. Okay. Because I don't necessarily need the cash flow to live on. I just put that away every month. And then I'm also, like I said, a real estate agent on a part-time basis. On that one, obviously 2022 was very strong. 2023 was slower. But I think if I had to average, let's say maybe 4 to 5K on an average.
Per month?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 And then your law enforcement job, which we don't even need to go into right now because regardless of what that is, real estate is covering your expenses.
Yes.
Okay. And you saved up 100 grand. That's not easy to do. So congrats. Nice
Correct.
work.
Thank you. Thank you.
That requires a lot of focus and restraint. So, so do you understand that you actually could afford it if you wanted to?
Yes, sir. I feel strong about that, because I
Okay.
know that I know that if I would have more time, that I could really put a lot more focus on the real estate side, whether it be as an agent or as an investor.
Okay. Okay. So you have been aware, you have known that your horizontal income is covering all your expenses and you could leave your day job anytime you wanted to.
Correct.
Okay. So okay. God, I just want to make sure of that. So let's just look at future earning, right? So with your W-2, what do you net every month from that? Just an estimate.
Let's say with overtime, because we get pretty much overtime every month on an average, let's say about 11,000.
Okay. And how many hours would you say you're working a week?
That is 50 hours a week.
50 hours. Okay. Okay. So at 50 hours a week. Okay. So let's say, for example, tomorrow your W-2 is gone. In the next 90 days, if you were to work 50 hours a week as a real estate agent or as a real estate investor, what do you think you could generate in cash flow in 90 days working 50 hours a week?
You know, I like to say that I could at least double what I do as an agent. So, at maybe let's just say 10K a month.
Okay. So if you're 4 or 5, so 10K a month. So
Yeah.
in 3 months, you could, so let's say, so the next 90 days, you can make 30K. Okay. And what if we said, let's extend that out, like months 4, 5, and 6? What do you think that would look like?
Well, hopefully momentum would take over, right? Uh, I don't know. That's hard for me to answer. At least minimum 10K.
Let me rephrase that question.
Okay.
In the next 6, if you didn't have your W-2, how much could you generate in total number in the next 6
Total
months
number.
cash?
Oh, now
Yeah,
we're
just give me
looking at. I mean,
throw it out.
looking at an extra 30K.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. 30K. Okay. And what about, let's say, the next year? Like your W-2 is gone. You spend a year working 50 hours a week. How much cash could you generate the second half of the year? Do you think that would be the same? Do you think it would go up?
I feel confident that I could definitely hit the 6-figure mark because I almost hit the 6-figure mark in 2022 part-time just as an agent.
Okay.
Of course, the market was different, obviously, right? But even at that, with the current market condition at that point, I was doing it on a part-time basis.
Okay. Have you asked yourself these questions I'm asking you now about potential earnings?
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay. And most people don't, right? A lot of times when I'm talking to somebody who's looking to transition out of their job, most people are thinking most people view it from a scarcity point of view.
Yeah.
What are my expenses, and what's the minimum I need to make to get by? That's because most people are so desperate to get out of the jobs. That's what they think, right?
Yeah.
But I like to flip it around the other way, in that when does it no longer make sense to be in your W-2 because you're actually making less money?
Right.
Because if you're averaging 10K a month, now let's notice, I'm assuming your 11K that you're taking home from your W-2 has money going into 401k and things like that. That probably has some
just to clarify that a little better, I'm talking about that's probably my take home, right? Not that's after taxes and 401ks and things of that nature, retirements. So
understood.
Yeah, you're looking more.
So there's money going in there. Yeah. So if you actually looked at the total income, your W-2 in the first year, you'd probably make more money in the W-2 the first year than 10K a month because there's taxes and stuff there. But if you pick up another property in the first year or two, then that's going to outweigh whatever tax or 401k benefit you're going to get anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what is your thought now on leaving your W-2 now that we're looking at potential future earnings between both directions?
So, I mean, the way you just asked these questions, it sounds like even though I've never asked myself those questions directly, it's like I have the answers in my mind, but I've never had to, I guess, say them out loud. Right.
Yeah.
And, maybe something else that I need to do is actually put it on paper to be able to, set that as a plan or a goal or whatever, and then to just be intentional about it after that.
Okay. And how are you feeling now about transitioning out of your retiring from your W-2 and being a full-time real estate investor agent?
So on the numbers piece, I feel very comfortable with that. So that's why I think for me, it's not so much about the numbers, because I feel confident about the numbers. I think it's just maybe the identity that I've had all these years. I think that's my biggest inner struggle. And I need to get over it.
You mean what's the old identity or the new identity?
The old identity. What I've been for the last 30 years, the role that I've been in for the last 30 years.
Okay. So the identity of being a law enforcement officer, you like?
Yeah.
You enjoy that? Yeah.
I've always, I've been a public servant my entire adult life, not just on the law enforcement side, but I also served in the military and I did 25 years there as well. So I've always been in public service.
And how old are you?
I'm 52.
And when would you get a pension if you were to retire from the law enforcement?
I could do it right now.
You can get it right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy your W-2?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So Most people don't enjoy their W-2s. So there's a rush to get out.
Yeah.
And you may be in an environment with your peer group and some of those masterminds where the whole goal is to get out of the W-2. And that's the common theme with real estate investing is use the real estate investing, generate the passive income to get out of your W-2. But that common strategy doesn't take into account enjoying the W-2.
Right.
You told me your kids are fully grown, almost at full empty nesters.
Correct.
You know, you enjoy what you do. You've got multiple things going. You look like you've got tons of energy. You know, health doesn't seem to be an issue. You seem just rocking just fine.
Yes, sir.
Regardless of the identity of the law enforcement, do you want to leave your W-2?
So, you know, I talked to my wife about this a lot. The thought, and I dealt with this when I was in the military reserves. You know, I had that struggle as well. When is it time for me to let that go? And I started kind of getting that feeling inside. And then the day came when I felt it and I knew, hey, it is time. The time is now. And I pulled the trigger. So because of that, and that happened in 2019, I'm starting to get that feeling today in my law enforcement job. And so that's why I think I'm still there is because of my past experience. I feel that whenever I get that feeling that it is time, I will get it. And then I will make a move at that point. So I think that's what I'm dealing with right now. And because I do enjoy what I do, I do work for a great agency. We have a lot of great people in our agency. That's why it's also difficult, right? To let that go because I do have a good thing going on. But I also understand and recognize that the time will come where that has to change because that's just life.
So what if we made this simple?
Okay.
You just decide that I'll leave when it's time to leave.
Okay.
Because I'll know. Try that. Say that out loud. I'll leave when it's time to leave.
I will leave when it's time to leave because I will know.
And how does that feel?
Feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good. So, but at the same time, I know that I'm missing out on other things that I know could eventually grow in my business ventures. I feel like the W-2 job is, while I enjoy it and whatnot, I think it's holding me back from really growing at a faster pace on the business side of things.
How do you know you're missing out?
Because I see others do so well once they leave their jobs. I have a good friend of mine that just recently left, and same thing. He was he was a firefighter, and now he retired about a year and a half ago, and he's just loving life. And I mean, there's life after the job, right?
You're going to be successful whenever you leave.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you know that, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You've created a lot of success. You've raised some kids. I'm assuming they're great kids. You probably look like a great dad to me. You've served your community, put a lot in savings. You've got almost a dozen properties. You're creating housing for families to help them out there. Like, you're making a big impact, and your success is going to grow. So what if you also made it simple, and that whichever way I decide to go is the right way?
Yeah. Never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's true.
Because whichever way, whether you go now or next week or next year, that's your decision, and it will work out. And if you're supposed to be gone now, there may be a little bit more friction at work, and you're like, okay, the things I don't like are bubbling up, or if there's more opportunity popping up, you may see that.
Yeah,
like, you'll know.
Yeah.
So maybe just my suggestion is, like, take ownership of this situation. Hey, I got it under control. I'm successful. I'm going to be successful. I'm enjoying right now. I see some people doing some awesome stuff there. Yeah, I'm going to make the shift when I want to.
Yeah. And I think I'm slowly transitioning into the other life, as I'm going to refer to it, because I am more involved now, like in masterminds. I do attend the Bigger Pockets conference every year now. I'm going to the midterm summit by Jesse Vasquez coming up here in San Diego in April. So I'm starting to get more and more involved on the real estate investing side of my life, which I think is maybe that's just my way of transitioning, I guess.
Okay. Do you have any other questions or anything I can help you with?
No, but you've given me some things to think about, and I think I need to write it down too. And I really appreciate that because you made me voice certain things that I haven't said out loud. Right? It's when you hear it, it just makes a difference.
So is there anything else you learned today?
To just do it. Do whatever it is that I want to do, because regardless of what choice I make, I'm going to be successful at it.
And I don't doubt you one bit.
Thanks.
You are absolutely awesome. It's been great to talk to you today, Ruben.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate your time. Thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome. And I'll see you soon sometime.
Yes, sir. I will. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Mindset Alignment Coaching Podcast. I'm Jason Drees. To get your own experience of coaching, go to freeintrosession.com and my team will connect you with a free intro session. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.